Friends, today we encounter Jesus in a supreme act of compassion for the widow at Nain. He could, with his jubilant crowd, kept going right past the procession, but after all, it was a funeral procession. And so he stopped. And we're told that he had pity on the poor widow. Now each of us is called in the same way, just as Jesus shows this type of compassion, we are called to show compassion ourselves to those in our circle of friends and acquaintances in church who have lost someone so dear to them. We've all been in this place. Each one of us, when you think back, has lost someone within our family. Each one of us perhaps has been chosen as the rock for the family, the person to whom everybody goes for some kind of solace and consolation. And so we've been there. And so what do we do when someone dies? Well, we're called to rise up as a Christian community, just like this community rose up around this woman. We rise up as a community and we bury the dead. And we do that by following all of the rituals that have been set up and time-tested to bring consolation and solace, even in and of themselves. All of the rituals. Now, I have to admit to you that I'm kind of a grief avoider, and many of us out here might be grief avoiders as well. But I was inspired by reading a little account of a group of teenagers in Detroit, just who last year took a special ministry upon themselves. And this is a ministry that changed them profoundly, individually. And it's also something that is actually needed here in Harford County. And what they did is they got together with some of the local funeral directors and they volunteered to be pallbearers for veterans who died without anyone in their family who had survived to mourn for them. They acted as pallbearers. These are individuals perhaps who had outlived their families, even outlived all of their army buddies, and there just was nobody left. Many of them were Vietnam-era veterans and had died on the streets, homeless. And so what they did is when they got the word, they would get together at school, they would review the service and the life of the individual they were going to serve that day. They'd say a few prayers, and then they'd go to the funeral home and serve as the pallbearer or taking the individual to the church or to the cemetery. And they would also participate in the communal prayers as well. And then back to school, where they would reflect on what they had done. And sometimes, especially if they were the ones who were the only mourners, they actually ended up consoling themselves. Now, they found out, my friends, in the course of all of this, that there are over 50,000 homeless veterans on the streets in the woods on any one night in the United States. That's more than all of the casualties, battle casualties in the Vietnam War, all added up together each night. And so they took great inspiration from what they were doing. Some of them even said, this person whom we've served today put his life on the line for the country, and it was a real honor just to have the opportunity to serve him in this very short and small sort of way. And another said, it's almost like we were part of his family, the family that he had lost, and now restored to him in this short service that we were able to provide for him. And so they took a great deal of inspiration. These youngsters are doing exactly what Jesus did in today's gospel. They were offering compassion. And compassion is nothing really more than just entering in, very silently perhaps, very without words, very, very surreptitiously, entering into the sorrow and the grief of an individual. And in sharing that sorrow, being able to relieve a lot of that grief, a lot of that sorrow, and bring healing. None of them, none of us, most likely will be able to ever raise anybody from the dead, but we can bring back to life those who mourn. We can bring back to life by bringing them back over a bridge that they probably crossed, a bridge of grief, a bridge of isolation from the community. We can bring them back to be parts of the community once again. And that way we can bring them back, literally, to life. Words don't effectively heal anything. Words are insufficient to bring true healing. But compassion which is of God can heal and does heal in God's own good time. And Jesus Christ, who is God, heals us in his good time and brings us, restoring us to everlasting life with him forever in heaven. Amen.